Morning was perfect. Still water. Sunlight across the lake. Mark leaned back in his chair, coffee in hand, watching his boat drift near the dock. Quiet. Peaceful. Then, engine noise. Heavy. Wrong. He frowned. Looked toward the entrance road. Truck. Big one. White. Company logo on the side. Behind it, another vehicle. Security. Mark stood up slowly. What the hell? The truck rolled closer. Straight toward the dock. No hesitation. No slowing down. Two men stepped out. Orange vests. One holding paperwork. The other already walking toward the boat. Hey! Mark moved fast. What are you doing? The man with the paper looked up. Unauthorized vessel removal. Mark blinked. What? Boat is being repossessed from private water. Mark laughed once. Confused. What private water? The guy pointed around. The lake. Mark stared at him, then looked behind himself, then back again. You mean my lake? No reaction. Like the guy didn't even hear it. We receive an enforcement order. From who? The second vehicle door opened, and there she was. Red blazer. Clipboard. HOA. Of course. Mark actually smiled. Not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. You people follow me here? The HOA woman walked forward calmly. Your vessel is violating community regulations. Mark looked around. At the water. At the trees. At the empty shoreline. No community exists here. It affects neighboring properties. This lake is over a mile from your subdivision. Our board determined. I don't care what your board determined. That stopped her. For a second. Tiny pause. Then, same cold expression. The towing company has authorization. The workers started moving again. One jumped onto the dock. The other unhooked part of the boat cover. Mark stepped forward instantly. Don't touch my boat. Sir, step back. No. The worker looked at the HOA woman. She gave a small nod. Continue. That one word lit everything. Metal clanked. Hooks moved. The boat shifted slightly in the water. Mark stared at them, actually stunned now, because this wasn't a threat anymore. This was happening. Are you insane? He snapped. This is private property. Sir, the worker replied. We're following the order. Whose order? No answer. Behind them, another SUV pulled up. Neighbors. Not HOA neighbors. Lake neighbors. People who lived nearby. Watching. Phones already out. Because nobody had ever seen something this ridiculous before. Mark pointed at the water. You cannot tow a boat off a privately owned lake. The HOA woman checked her clipboard. According to the complaint, I own the lake. Silence. Small, but real. One of the workers stopped moving. Just for a second. You own the lake? He asked. Yes. The worker slowly looked toward the HOA woman. She didn't look back at him. Just flipped a page. The enforcement request remains active. That answer changed the energy. Because now, even the towing guys looked unsure. Mark walked straight toward her. Close now. No, he said quietly. You don't understand. He pointed at the water, then the shoreline, then the land around it. My grandfather bought this land 50 years ago. Another step closer. The lake is part of the deed. The guard near the SUV shifted slightly, watching carefully now, because the confidence in Mark's voice didn't sound fake, didn't sound emotional. It sounded factual. The HOA woman finally looked up from the clipboard. If that's true, she said calmly, you could dispute the action afterward. Mark stared at her, actually speechless for a second. You're towing my boat first, pause. And checking ownership later? No response. That was the answer. The workers moved again, chains lowering, metal hooks reaching the side of the boat. Mark pulled out his phone fast, started recording. Say your company name again. The worker hesitated. Why? Because you're illegally removing property from a privately owned lake. That landed harder. The workers exchanged a look. Tiny, but noticeable. Because suddenly, this didn't feel routine anymore. One of them stepped back off the dock. Maybe we should verify we already have authorization. The HOA woman interrupted. Cold. Immediate. The workers still looked uncertain. Mark zoomed the camera toward the truck logo, then toward her. Good, he said quietly. Now everyone knows who did it. The boat jerked slightly as the hook tightened. Water rippled outward. Mark looked at it, jaw tightening. Because now, they were actually taking it. off his lake, in broad daylight, while she stood there, completely convinced she had authority over something she'd never even checked. And that's when Mark realized something. This wasn't about rules. This wasn't about regulations. This was ego, pure ego, the kind that gets dangerous when nobody challenges it. He slowly lowered the phone, eyes locked on the towing company logo again. Then a thought hit him. Sharp. Asserting. And suddenly, his anger disappeared. Not fully, but enough. Because now, he wasn't thinking about stopping them anymore. He was thinking bigger. Much bigger. The workers kept pulling the boat closer to shore. The HOA woman remained calm, confident, certain she'd already won. But she hadn't noticed the change in Mark's face. That calm look. That focused silence. Because the moment they touched his boat, they stopped dealing with a complaint and started creating a problem they couldn't afford. The boat was gone. Just like that. Empty water. Empty dock. Mark stood there, silent, watching the last ripples fade across the lake. Neighbors still recording, still talking, because nobody understood how this had even happened. One of the towing workers looked back nervously before getting into the truck. The HOA woman didn't. She just closed her clipboard, turned, walked toward her SUV, like it was over, like she'd won. Mark looked down at his phone, still recording. Good, very good, because every second mattered now. He ended the video, opened another app immediately. Contact. Scrolled once. Press call. The line connected fast. Hey, Mark said calmly. I need the ownership records for Blackwater Lake. Pause. Yeah, full copies. Another pause. Then no, this isn't a legal dispute anymore. He looked toward the road where the truck disappeared. It's becoming something bigger. Cut. 1 hour later. County office. Papers spread across a desk. Maps. Boundary lines. Property records. The clerk adjusted his glasses. You weren't kidding. Mark leaned forward. About what? You actually own the lake. I know. No, the clerk said slowly. I mean all of it. He pointed at the map. The shoreline too. Mark looked down, then smiled slightly. Because now, everything made sense. The clerk flipped another page. This towing authorization shouldn't even exist. Why? Because HOA jurisdiction ends almost 2 miles away. There it was. Proof. Clean. Official. Real. Mark leaned back slowly. So they had zero authority. Less than zero, the clerk replied. They authorized removal of property from land they don't control. Silence. Heavy. Then the clerk added quietly, that's dangerous. Mark nodded once. Because now, this wasn't annoying anymore. This was liability. Massive liability. Cut. Tow yard. Fence gates. Rows of boats and vehicles. Mark parked. Stepped out. Folder in hand. Phone recording again. The employee at the front desk looked bored. Until Mark placed the papers down. I'm here for my boat. Storage fees apply. Mark smiled slightly. Wrong answer. No, he said calmly. They don't. The employee frowned. These are standard. You illegally remove property from privately owned land. Pause. The employee blinked once. Mark slid the county map forward. Then the ownership records. Then the towing authorization copy. The guy's expression changed instantly. Fast. This yeah. Mark leaned closer. You should probably call your manager. Cut. Back office door opened. Older man. Company owner. Tired face. Serious eyes. He walked over quickly. Picked up the paperwork. Started reading. Then silence. Long silence. He looked up slowly. Who authorized this? Mark pointed toward the HOA paperwork. That woman. The owner kept reading. Face getting tighter. More tense. Because now he understood. This wasn't a normal complaint. This was a legal seizure. And worse, it was recorded. Publicly. The owner looked toward the yard outside. Then back at Mark. Your boat will be released immediately. Good. And all fees are waived. Obviously, the owner exhaled slowly, like someone realizing they just stepped near a cliff. We relied on HOA authorization. That was your first mistake. Silence again. Then Mark looked directly at the company logo on the wall behind him. Large, bright, expensive branding. That same logo, now sitting in hundreds of phone videos online. Because people recorded everything. And Mark knew exactly what that meant. Bad publicity. Bad reputation. Bad business. The owner rubbed his forehead. We'll handle this internally. No, Mark said calmly. You'll handle it publicly. That landed instantly. The owner looked up again. Because now, he realized something else. Mark wasn't here for compensation. He was here for accountability. And suddenly, the power balance shifted hard. The boatyard workers started bringing the boat forward carefully. Much more carefully than before. No confidence now. No attitude. Just caution. Mark watched quietly. Then his eyes moved back toward the company office. Tow trucks. Equipment. Employees. Branding. Business. And then, that same thought returned. Sharper now. Bigger. Because after today, this company was going to lose money. A lot of it. Unless someone stepped in fast. Very fast. And Mark suddenly realized he might be the only person who could save it. That idea should have sounded ridiculous. But didn't. Not anymore. Because sometimes people create their own downfall. And sometimes they hand you the keys themselves.